Tanaiste, figures released this week in my own constituency of Waterford show that home burglaries in the city for January 2013 are up over 30% on the same period last year. Tanaiste, the rising statistic is on a par with figures from around the country. In some areas, the number of home burglaries almost tripled in the last year, and I suspect that, given all the facts and figures, it's much higher. Tanaiste, I'm encountering victims of burglary on a regular basis who all paint a similar picture of the terrible pain and misery that this violation of their private space has caused. And often this horror is revisited when the perpetrator is brought to court, and it's quite often the case spared jail or any sort of sentence. Tanaiste, most often items taken are never returned. Personalised jewellery, items that are close to people's hearts. I was in a house last week where their mother and father had died tragically some months before that, and the jewellery belonging to them was taken. More than likely it'll never be returned. And I witnessed a husband and wife crying in front of me. Many people cry outwardly, and many people cry into their hearts. And the psychological effect on having your home violated cannot be underestimated. It can last forever. But Tanaiste, a point that is frequently underreported is the cost of replacing the items in their home and repairing the damage done by intruders, with many people opting not to claim on insurance policies with fear that the policies would go through the roof, and indeed many people cannot afford insurance policies. Research from Eircom Phone Watch has put the average value of goods stolen in home burglaries at a staggering €1,868, with a colossal expense on people. Tanaiste, my question, and before I come to it very briefly, I believe, and many people believe, that the criminal justice system is failing the victims of burglary. Today, in every city, town, and probably every estate in Ireland, someone's house will be burgled. My question to you is this, Tanaiste. Would you consider bringing forward legislation that forces those found guilty of burglary, regardless of whether or not a community sentence, a custodial sentence, or whatever has been handed down, to repay the costs and the damage that they have done? That each judge in every district court in Ireland would be instructed under legislation that the perpetrator, regardless of their means, that such reparation would be deducted from the guilty party's wages or social welfare payments.
Thank you.
And can I finally say to you, Tanaiste, and I know you would be aware of this, and speaking to other members in the House are aware of it, that it's a crime that's gone unnoticed to the very serious criminal crimes of damage to the person. But this is destroying people's lives all over the country. And there is that fear with people that they are being abandoned and not taken notice of. And can I just finally say, how often have I been in court where an out-of-touch judge, because of some do-gooder, will say kind words about the perpetrator, and the victim is left abandoned?
Thank you.
We need to do something about this urgently.
Well, I want to thank Deputy Halligan for raising that question, and I think the issue that he raises is a very serious and a very relevant one. And I want to agree that the burglaries of people's homes cannot be measured just in terms of the actual crime that it is, or indeed in the financial terms of the damage that is done either to the home or the goods that are stolen or interfered with. There is an absolute sense of violation by the victims of home burglaries. The sense that somebody has been around your home, in your bedroom, tampering with your personal belongings, in some cases stealing or damaging things that may not be of huge financial value, but are of enormous sentimental and emotional value to the victims concerned. I think the suggestion that you have made is a very constructive one. I know that the Minister for Justice has a very strong personal view in favour of restorative forms of justice and penalties. And I will bring to his attention what I think is a very worthwhile and very constructive suggestion that you have made here this morning, and I will ask him to have what you have said looked at as a way of dealing with. It can never, of course, I think, repair the sense of violation, the sense of damage that is experienced by somebody whose home has been burgled. But I think that it may be a more pragmatic and a more effective and a more appropriate way of dealing with the perpetrators of home burglaries than perhaps some of the ways that they're being dealt with at the moment.
Thank you. Deputy Halligan.
Thank you, Tanaiste. I'm sure many people throughout the country, and I mean this sincerely, I believe in what you've said to be sincere, will be most comforted by what you have said. I think it will send a clear message out to people that violate people's homes, that there is a price to pay. I would say to you again, and I'm not here to kind of make any direct attacks on the judiciary, but through my political life I've spent a lot of time representing people in court in Waterford City, as have some of my fellow TDs and TDs from around the Dáil here. And people can be taken aback at some of the sentencing procedures carried out by the judiciary. How often has it been where people that have burgled one's homes can be seen walking around the street the next day by the very people whose homes they've broken into? And people are just shocked and bewildered. I know the Gardaí at times can prepare really good cases, and I've been there with guards in district courts, and because some judges are out of touch, there's no sentence applied whatsoever. So the person can go back out and reoffend, and quite often some of the people that are reoffending have reoffended on one occasion 20, 25 times, which is in a local paper in Waterford. So I'm comforted by your response, and I think the people of Ireland will be too, but I hope that over a short period of time to the medium that you will act upon the suggestion that I've made.
Thank you.
Well, yes, I will. As I've said, I will bring your remarks, Deputy, to the attention of the Minister for Justice. And I know that his own views are very much in this space of developing forms of restorative justice. But of course, I think we have to understand that that end of the equation is after the damage has been done. And even where there is financial restoration, even where there's a penalty imposed by the courts, there is still a very strong sense of violation experienced. And of course, if something of sentimental value, it may be the wedding ring that was inherited by somebody from a mother or a grandmother, which can never be replaced. It may not be the financial value of it, it's just the family, the sentimental value of it. And that's why I think we also have to address the issue of home burglaries from the end of preventing them. And this is where I think the work that is being done by Neighbourhood Watch, by Community Gardaí, working with local communities, advising homeowners of the kind of preventative and simple precautionary measures. Not leaving the bathroom window open when you're on your way out because you've forgotten to close it, or whatever it may be. Simple precautionary measures that are taken by householders and on which people can get advice. And of course, there are ways that have been developed by Community Gardaí and by Neighbourhood Watch for identifying and marking personal goods, which will enable the Gardaí to identify who the owners are when somebody is detected. And of course, there is also, I think, the requirement and necessity for a sense of good neighbourhood in communities where people do keep a watch out, and particularly keep a watch out for the homes of people who are living alone and who may be who may be vulnerable. I think this is a very big issue. I think it is an issue that causes a lot of worry to people. I think the suggestions that you've made this morning are valuable. I think they're constructive, and I will ask the Minister for Justice to have a look.
Thank you.